During pregnancy and for a couple of years after it, mothers are usually forgetful, not very socially active, and consider themselves dumb. This is something which is quite common and is known as baby brain and momnesia. Baby brain, the pregnancy-induced fog which many women claim to experience, may actually exist, scientists believe. Many women report that they become more forgetful during pregnancy, oversensitive, and less able to focus on logical tasks. But is it real, or is it a myth? A study was carried out to test this by researchers from Brigham Young University in Utah and was published and peer-reviewed by the Journal of Clinical and Experimental Neuropsychology. This study recruited 21 women in the third trimester of pregnancy and a control group of 21 who have never been pregnant. This case-controlled study tested for different abilities, such as memory and problem-solving during pregnancy and after childbirth. 10 neuropsychological tests were conducted and tested for memory, attention, language, executive abilities, visual abilities, as well as questionnaires to assess mood, levels of anxiety, quality of life, enjoyment, and satisfaction. The researcher also excluded women with learning disabilities, ADHD, disorders, epilepsy, stroke, and brain injury in order to get accurate results. After the information was collected and analyzed, there were minimal differences between the test group and control group, and the minor difference could have been due to their pre-pregnancy ability. To add on to the study, Pil-Young Kim, director of the Family and Child Neuroscience Lab at the University of Denver, said, "We can extrapolate there is evidence to suggest that multiple pregnancies enhance memory." She added that brain changes associated with motherhood might boost the mother's memory. We see this amazing plasticity in the brain during the early months of parenting that leads to mostly positive growth. So I cannot help thinking that the mommy brain is ultimately a good thing, Kim says. A thread on social media was also created to discuss the myth of baby brain, and many parents shared their experience. Although most of the comments on the thread support the idea of baby brain, one of the stories shared was shared by a father. This was appealing to us since this proves that the symptoms some mothers feel after pregnancy have nothing to do with pregnancy. Moving on to the second claim, which is about the myth that states that chocolate causes acne, and we guess all of you want to know how valid is this claim. Chocolate is well known for the large amounts of sugar it holds, and fats and sugars directly affect acne, but is this the end of the story? Many studies have been done to prove so. There is no direct answer for this yet. So is it a myth or is it a fact? The first study we found was based on a correlation. It is known that a high sugar, high fat diet can increase sebum production and promote inflammatory responses in the body, and this may lead to acne. But the real question is, does that person actually have a tendency for acne or not? Therefore, there is no direct link between chocolate and acne. The second reason behind this myth is the stereotype that women usually consume sugary foods, especially chocolate during their premenstrual part of their cycle. And during this cycle, the tendency for a woman to get acne is very high. Therefore, the stereotype leads to people creating this link. A second source we found to prove our point was actually opposing our point of view. But after critically analyzing it, we found that the chosen test group was picked inaccurately and did not take into account many factors that have a direct effect, mainly previous status of the test group. To add on to that, it was mentioned that dark chocolate does not have an effect, and the study moved on to talking about other foods that have an effect, such as breads, pretzels, and potatoes. The third source we found mentions the myths people spread around this matter. Starts off by saying what acne is. All of us have millions of harmless bacteria living on our skin, and these can infect a blocked pore, causing red lump to form, in other words, a spot. In 1969, a placebo-controlled study was conducted in patients visiting an acne clinic, and men in prison also found chocolate made no difference to acne. Actually, there is no enough evidence to prove that chocolate is directly related to the presence of acne in one person. Many experiments were carried out and almost all of them prove the indirect relationship. Another experiment was done in 2002, suggesting and concluding that yes, dairy products may have a relation to acne, but not chocolate in particular. Another limitation exists when proving there is a relationship or not, is that acne goes by time and leaves after the teen period, so it's hard to control all variables and get the perfect conclusion we want to reach. The final source we used to prove that there is no link between chocolate and acne is an experiment with 65 participants and divided them into two groups, with one group given a chocolate bar enriched with 10 times the normal amount of cocoa. The experiment showed that chocolate had no effect to acne development. They also mentioned the limitations that could affect the experimentation process. Finally, they suggest the diet heavily affects the acne development. But no definite answer has been given out to the myth believed by lots of people.